Welcome, Useless Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schwartz, and this is the first episode after our preview a couple of weeks we had. So the past few episodes, we had a college football preview with Luke Langle, a NFL preview with JJ Conklin, and then a Premier League preview with Will Sheeran, if I could even say the name Will as well. Awesome guys there. So go ahead, check those out on the Assist feed as fall sports are getting started up again, which I can't really believe they are here in America, but they are. And I am excited and thrilled for that. So that my projector yesterday to have 2 screens in the living room of my townhouse. So we're pretty excited over here in Orlando. But joining me today, it's my esteemed brother, Max Schwartz, up from Bowling Green, Ohio, where he is now a college freshman. Max, you are so old. How does it feel?
Honestly, when my birthday came around this year, I didn't even feel any different.
But you're the nasty 19, Max.
I just don't feel any different. It just feels like just as if I'm 18 again.
I may or may not have sent your card in the mail yet. I think it might still be sitting on my desk. And for the listeners, Max's birthday was August 20th, so it's been 3 weeks. I'm notoriously bad with birthday cards, sending them to the family members, but I'm especially bad with yours. Like I am the worst with yours, with sending yours in the mail on time. But Nana has your gift there, your Conor McGregor T-shirt at least, your favorite UFC fighter. So yeah, there you go. They have that there. So okay, as we mentioned, you are a freshman. I guess you were due for a little update then, since you're at school for the listeners. Since the last time you've been on, everyone knows you want to be a pilot. Your Skype picture is a picture of a plane, so that's very fitting. What are you studying, and how are classes going right now at Bowling Green State University?
So right now I'm in my first year. I am a aviation major with the flight technology and operations specialization, which is just fancy talk for wanting to be a professional pilot. So far this semester I am enrolled in 15 hours, so 5 3-credit hour classes. So far they're not that bad. I mean, I think like the experience that I got with taking like just some regular gen ed college classes back in high school, I think that really has set me up to succeed here at Bowling Green. And so, I'm real excited for it, and I'm just happy to be here, even with all the stuff that's going on. So I'm just thankful.
So I still want to work for an airline, correct? That's the current path?
Correct.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I know you're actually doing a lot of flights out there right now, which is really cool. I'm glad you get that hands-on experience from day one as well. And I mean, going up with you before I left for the summer. So Max, for people that don't know, Max already has his private pilot license certificate. I don't want to mess up the framing there. What is it technically called?
It's a certificate.
Certificate allows you to take people up in the air, and I know I was the second person you took up after Dad. And I mean, just seeing how you're going through it and everything, it's really cool just to see you blossom into this new world. Because I know for a while you were kind of, I think for a while now, for 7-8 years, I've wanted to be a doctor, and I think for you it took a bit of a longer path to get to where you wanted to be. But just seeing you in that environment, of course, flying over Cedar Point as we did for the Florida listeners, a very big amusement park that you have to visit. It's got so many more roller coasters than Disney could ever dream of, and real roller coasters, But just being able to do that's really cool. I think it's awesome that you're at school, and getting that type of exposure already so early.
Yeah.
It's
real nice. It's real nice because like the planes are actually they're pretty modern. Like they're all new. Like they have like screens like inside the cockpit and stuff. And so we usually call those glass cockpits. So instead of like the usual like regular instruments that you and I saw when I took you up. So it's interesting.
For sure, I can imagine. So you're a college freshman. You're living on campus, correct?
Correct.
should be a double. You're in a double room, but only you are in it, right? That was part of Bowling Green's policy in light of COVID. I believe we're doing something similar here at UCF to minimize exposure, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. Maybe in the next couple of years you'll have a better understanding of this question, but I'll ask it now anyway because I think you can provide out of any of my people in my social circle. You can provide a unique perspective to this. What do you feel like you're missing out the most on right now? You know, going to school, your first couple weeks are here, you're settled in. What do you think? And once again, I want to preface this by saying that I understand all the COVID restrictions. Obviously, I'm here on the President's Leadership Council here at UCF, so I'm very keyed into what's happening at the university level here with regulations and such, and I support them all, of course. But I also think asking you, what do you feel like you're missing out on in your first couple of weeks as a freshman newly on campus that because of COVID, basically?
I feel like that the thing I'm missing out on the most is like getting the chance to hang out with people. So like we're not even allowed to hang out with people in our own residence hall, which I think is bullshit. But I mean, it just feels like that we're all isolated in our rooms. You know, it's just terrible. You know, for someone like me who wants to branch out and put himself out there and meet more people. I've met, like, don't get me wrong, like I've met some people, but not nearly as many as I should have.
Yeah, and it's an all-encompassing rule, correct? Like even if I were to come up, I can't stay in your room, even though we're family.
No.
Yeah.
No, nobody.
Yeah, I can't say if UCF has a similar policy or not, because obviously you would have space just to hang out with one or two people in your room at least. And, of course, there's not a lot of gathering on campus as well, right? I mean, you can't do anything really too much unless you're in smaller groups outside. So that's a frustrating thing because I think even, you know, a lot of times the dorm rooms are small, right? Obviously, they're not the most precious rooms in the world. But, you know, I remember my freshman year, at least, I got to know my roommates, my suite mates pretty well, and we'd hang out in one guy or another's room. And it's not like you would have 10 people in your dorm room. You could only fit one or two people max. So, I don't want to go against university policy, obviously, and say that, but because obviously the people at the top of the decision making are much more smarter than I am about this stuff and understand this disease much better than I do. But I mean, I can understand certainly why that's frustrating because just you really can't get that social contact, right?
Yeah.
So you have in-person classes, though, right?
Sort of. So like some of my classes, they do this like stupid like in-person hybrid thing. So like for two of my classes, they meet twice. They would usually meet twice a week. And so on Tuesdays, I am online for the whole day, which is absolutely terrible. And then on Thursdays, I actually go to the lecture hall for my classes.
So what's the online stuff like?
Oh my God, it's terrible. I hate it.
Just because you're not able to be more engaged, or what?
That, and it's just the internet here is terrible. Like I get booted off. Like my iPad gets booted off so many times. Like when I'm watching YouTube and I'm wondering why my video is buffering. Oh, it's because I got booted off the Wi-Fi like the 5th time in the past 10 minutes. Like it's terrible. It makes me mad.
So you're what you're saying is, because I think many people would interpret your first statement there like as an affront to the issues with the course stuff, but you're just taking more issue with the fact that the technology and stuff like that isn't working as well as you want it to. It's not with the course delivery or the course like information, stuff like that.
No.
Okay. Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I mean, I've had a couple times. Our power almost went out 2 or 3 times today, I think, here because of a lot of rain and stuff like that. So no, I get it. I mean, we've had times where if my roommate and I are on the same time on a class, like we'll have issues with Zoom. Yeah, no, it's definitely. I think there needs to be a better, because I think too as well. There's going to be some form of this stuff will stick. I'm not sure how much it will be. I know you, like here, I know at least we have like 10% of our classes are in person. Like we really cracked down on this, and of course Florida was a big hotspot for the COVID pandemic as well earlier on. And I think BG, the ratio is a bit different up there, but I still think there's going to be some elements of this semester that will stick. I just don't think the spring, or goodness if it lasts till next fall, will be all back to normal, you know what I mean? Which is going to be weird for you because you didn't even experience a college normal before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the schools definitely need to invest more in Wi-Fi networks as well, especially if you're having that much issue. I haven't had any issues with UCF yet, but I haven't been on campus too much, so I will let the people speak for themselves on that one. So, do you enjoy it, though, overall?
Yeah, but not as much as I thought I would, just because like of all the restrictions and stuff, but overall it's been good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I know you were going out to a couple events and stuff like that your first weekend there, and they're doing socially distanced and stuff like that, but I imagine much like us, you know, we're all now buckled down with the semester with school, so I imagine that some of those stopped happening, right?
Yeah, and also the fact that like I would never like like one time there was like a bingo that was going on like in the student union, and then I asked somebody about it, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't hear about it?" And I was like, "No, I didn't, because nobody tells me anything." So that just makes me mad. So
for sure, yeah, you gotta watch those message boards like a hawk on there. What do you think is the most shocking thing, you know, that surprised you during your first couple weeks at school? Is it the course difficulty? Is it the amount of stuff you're doing? You're doing 15 hours. That's a good amount of credit hours for your first semester. Or is it something else, you know, because this is the first time, you know, you've really gone out where you're making your grocery list. You're going out there all day. You know, you got to check your car for gas, that type of thing. What is the most shocking thing to you now that you are a fully formed adult?
I just think it's how friendly everybody is here. Like everybody here is so nice to me.
Like students, workers, what do you mean?
Like everybody's just so friendly. I mean, like even the most random people will say hi to you, and like it just makes you feel like that. It makes you feel like you're included. Like part of like the statement that like BG provides is that you like stand out, go far, and belong. And I feel like that the staff here really tries to emphasize on the belong part. So I'm just like actually shocked that they actually like stick to that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. I know a lot of schools around the country will talk that up, but to see it actually reflected in the fact that you, a newcomer, you know, a lot of kids from our high school, of course, we both graduated from the same high school, go there, but that you didn't have too many friends going there, you know. I know you have the one that's really, he's a really good guy. But like having that type of welcoming community there is really crucial, I think, and it's something that if you look at the broader social landscape of the country right now with COVID, you know, it's much easier just to put on your mask and put your head down and don't say anything and just move along and not be social. So I think that's really cool that you've noticed that. I think that's really speaks to the integrity of the campus.
I think one thing that like is personal for me is that like I'm in something called a learning community, and like a lot of the people that live around me are all aviation majors, and like we can actually like gather around. In fact, one thing that we've done like to actually like socialize while being at a safe distance is that some of us will stand like in our doorways, and others will like stand in a hallway with all our masks on, and we'll just stand there and talk, you know. I mean, and it's just real nice just to actually like get to know the people that are in your major and like see where they're coming from, see which aircraft they flew for their training if they did that. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's nice. And like you said, you have your mask on. You're being socially compliant. Bowling Green, please do not come after my brother. Okay, you heard him. He's compliant with the rules. Please don't quarantine him. He's a good guy. No, but I think that's a really cool thing you do. And obviously, like you said, that's the learning community is there for you to get to know people like that, to where in a normal year, if you're walking by the hall or something like that, or you have a floor kitchen, correct? Kitchen for each floor.
We have a kitchen like on the first floor.
Yeah, so if you're in the kitchen, you're making something, and someone walks in, you're supposed to talk. You could talk to them about it. You know that they're aviation, so you guys already have that commonality there. So I think it's really cool that you guys are almost adapting, with the rules, since you can't have people in your dorms exclusively. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that you're getting at least some social interaction. So I think that's the thing that I don't want to touch on the toes of the pandemic and everything that's happened. But I mean, the one thing that these rules certainly have shown is that there's been a lot of social anxiety and a lot of problems of loneliness, and depression rates are going up just because of everything, not being able to see people. So I'm glad you're able to get some of that social interaction that's really crucial for your first year at school.
Yeah, because like back in like when this whole thing was getting started, like we had just gone on lockdown, like I had no idea what was going to happen, and like I felt some of that social anxiety, so I know what it's like. So it's terrible.
And I think now that the guidelines for the CDC, at least that I last read, and I know UCF as well, it's not having large indoor gatherings. So under 10 or 12 people, depending where you look, whatsoever. And I think that's a perfect number. You can have couple of your friends over, you have a good time, you're watching a sporting event, something like that. Obviously, I know it's different for you since you're on campus, but at least I think that's a good number there to where you're able to actually, and see people and hang out with people. We call it down here our quarantine. So people that you're okay with seeing because they're also following regulations and being safe as well. Which I think is really important now, because at first, it was like, can't see anybody, lockdown. I know for us, I know you were going to work for a little bit, but I know I was home for the first, after I got back from Florida in March for 3 weeks, I didn't see anybody, even at Katie. So, I mean, and if that went on for months, I mean, like some people have done, I would have lost it, frankly. I would have had a psychotic break, because I'm just a social person. Like that's just how I am. So, I'm glad it's been relaxed.
Yeah, but
yeah. Any so here I'm going to transition here in a second. But any other takeaways from your first couple of weeks there at school?
I think one thing that sort of shocked me is like how well I'm handling like the workload of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
I think once again it goes back to me making that decision to take those college credit plus classes back in high school, and I'm like, and when I started that, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. I'm going to do my own thing. Why do you think that's exactly why I quit soccer and I started doing this flight chair. I'm like, you know what? I'm actually going to say that I'm going to do this, and I want to follow through with it. I'm not someone that says that they're going to do something and not do it. Like I always follow through no matter what. Yeah,
for sure. I think now, obviously you've taken the flight training, you certainly did it correctly. You go in there at BG with your certificate and everything already is really incredible, being ahead and everything. So you certainly have done that. And, I mean, getting that college level type of work before you actually go into, university is really crucial. So, I mean, it was a good call for you to do that for sure.
Yeah.
So another update, I guess, because I don't know when our last podcast was. I should have done that before I was looking at this. But during the quarantine, we became super UFC fans.
Yes.
And yes. I think the UFC is your favorite sport now, if I am not mistaken.
Yes, you are correct.
Why, for this sport, did you love it so much? Or do you?
I don't know. I mean, just, it's not like football where it's like, okay, like we're going to make this play and then we're going to stop for 2 minutes and then keep going on and on and on for 4 15-minute quarters straight. Instead of with the UFC, it's 5 straight minutes of action. Sometimes you just get these bloodbaths of the war. You look at Robbie Lawler versus Roy McDonald too. I mean, that's probably the greatest title fight in UFC history.
That's a bold claim, man. Just right out there with it. We'll have to consult with cousin Ryan about that one. All right. I don't know. I don't know if cousin Ryan agrees with that. He's been a fan of the sport for decades. And of course, Dad may have something else to say, being a fan from the early days. I think that was the best part too. Is that we got Dad sucked back into UFC. For years, he stopped watching, and then he slowly he did the thing where he would we'd be watching the fight night stuff like that because I have ESPN Plus, so we're able to get the weekly fights as well as the pay-per-views. He'd watch a couple fights. He'd be working or whatever. Then he'd look up. I noticed. And eventually he started asking when the fights start, and he would plan around it. And then by the end of the quarantine, he was all in. He was all in. And the other day, actually, I forgot what card. I think it was for the Anthony Smith card. I got booted off my ESPN Plus because my dad turned it on my account, and we were booting each other off. I was like, "No, look, you have to watch on here. I'll watch on this channel." So that was very funny. So yeah, we roped Dad back in.
ESPN Plus.
Yeah. So I mean, ESPN Plus is great. I know you just got it as well. We roped Dad back in. Our cousin Ryan is super excited. We're big fans of that. Obviously, right now we're I think not this week because this will drop on Monday the 14th. We're recording on Thursday the 10th. Around the fans can expect the 23rd. We will have a UFC 253 podcast with me and the cousin Ryan going through breaking down Adesanya and Paulo Costa. How excited are you for that fight?
I think it could possibly be one of the greatest fights of this year. I mean, Paulo Costa is just a machine. I mean, he just doesn't stop. I think on the day that Stipe retained his title against Cormier, I watched his fight against Yoel Romero, and oh my God, that was a back and forth war. Yeah, that's on my list of fights to watch to study up for the preview in a couple weeks. I mean, because I know there's a lot of criticism leveled at Adesanya after the Yoel Romero fight, his own fight with him, which is deserved, frankly. Especially after the Zhang Weili Joanna battle right before it in that co-main of UFC 249. Was it 249? No, 248. 248. I apologize. Yeah, 248.
249 was Tony Ferguson.
Last card.
Yeah, last card with fans, right? In March, right? Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Adesanya is such a technical striker, and Costa's a brawler. I think Katie's making dinner right now. Otherwise, I bring her up here because she's fallen in love with Paulo Costa. She thinks he's a beautiful human, and yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, he is all proportionate and everything. He looks like he is literally a machine, as you said.
I mean, they call him the Eraser for a reason.
Yes, yeah, erases brain cells, I think is how we got that name, possibly. Who knows?
And gives people CTE.
Yes, he certainly does. Yes, that is for sure. That is one thing with the sport, I think, going back to how we became fans, that initially did bug me a little bit, is that level of stuff. And even it's been talked about with the fact that Mike Tyson in boxing is coming back. But I also think, it's so much more than just head kicks or punches to the face. It's jiu-jitsu, it's wrestling, it's Muay Thai, it's judo, it's kickboxing, and if you're bad at any one of those, your opponents are going to find out very, very quickly. Even Khabib has to handle some stuff on the feet at least for a bit, and that's why some people are rating Justin Gaethje or possibly could beat him, because Gaethje is almost as good as a wrestler as well. And that one's coming up in October, and I can't wait for that one either. I mean, the UFC too. The other thing is obviously, it was the sport that came back first because it's two fighters and they're cornermen, so 5 people total you can test. You can get replacement fighters. They have to take a lot of tests, and they also, went to the UAE for the international stuff as well. So I think, obviously it was the only thing on, and we got sucked in, and here we are. Now we're just, I have the UFC pay-per-view dates selected on my calendar here, my year-long calendar, just because it's just an exciting time. And of course, it's a great sport to watch with friends as well, as long as it's under 12 people or 10 people, depending on where you live. Got to throw that caveat in there before I get canceled. So, yeah, I just love the sport, and I think it's and the thing is, they're making fights to make. I mean, you got Adesanya Costa in middleweight, you have Gaethje and Khabib coming up in October, possibly with Dustin Poirier facing Tony Ferguson as the co-main. That broke yesterday, which we've all known, I think, which would be awesome. And for Dustin Poirier, my favorite fighter. November is Cody Garbrandt, right, against Davison Figueiredo. I can't say that name, but that's in the flyweight title. And, of course, Shevchenko's fighting again, correct, in the women division there. So, and
Yep.
Usman in December. So I mean, it's just all title fights. It's just fights to make, and it's crazy. Even in a couple weeks, we got Colby Covington. This will actually be this week, if I'm saying it, for the 19th. Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley fighting in that main event. So I mean, it's just a great sport because it's the best of the best, And even if you look back at undercards from 5-6 years ago, you see guys who are now the best of the sport. So it's a sport that just trains the best, and you really get promoted based on merit, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a long rant that wasn't going to lead to conversation. I apologize. I apologize for that. As you know, you've lived with me longer than anyone else. I can be accustomed to my long rants here.
Trust me. You've put me through worse before.
That's why we're about to hit episode 70 of this thing, and I'm still not tired. We're getting ready to roll with it. So with much more content to come as well. So it's just exciting. So yeah. So your favorite fighter, I mentioned, it's Conor McGregor. Jorge Masvidal also ranks up there for you. I sense a theme here. Do you have anything to add on the theme?
No, I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, you just like cocky, aggressive people who like to talk a lot compared to fighting.
Well, yeah, that's how you sell fights.
Well, Masvidal did rise to be one of the biggest names in the sport. So, I mean, it surely does.
It was super necessary.
Is that his punchline or something?
So, like, after he knocked out Ben Askren, there was like a video of him at a press conference, and a reporter asked him why the punches were necessary, and then he responded so fast is that it was super necessary.
Oh, because Askren was out on the mat, and it was pretty clear, correct? And the ref kept the fight going. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
He got like...
Yeah, flying knee to the face. It's not good. Do you think... so here's a question for you, actually, as we get this conversation go somewhere. With our new love of UFC, I've thought about starting to train, at least in probably jiu-jitsu. I think I would want to start in because it's more submission-based for people who don't know. It's arm bars, it's chokes, it's stuff like that. You're not striking. So obviously, no CTE, as we highlighted earlier, or relatively lack of it. Have you thought about training in any MMA discipline?
I was thinking about doing some jiu-jitsu, then possibly some striking.
Okay. Kickboxing.
Because if I get in a fist fight with somebody, I want to know like how to punch somebody and which spots to hit and stuff.
Yeah, I just wonder if jiu-jitsu is more valuable.
I mean, it really depends on like the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody like tackles you onto the ground, like yeah, you could easily just take them back and sink in an RNC on them. But
all right, Max, people are going to think you're talking about the Republican convention here. It's a rear naked choke. All right, people, come on, we're not steering that. Not this episode. No, it's not the same difference. A rear naked choke is not the same as the Republican National Convention, Max.
Okay, you're the one that brought it up.
Well, you can't just say RNC out there. A lot of people listen to the show, Max. You gotta be careful.
Do they actually, though?
Just hit 3,000 downloads. Don't like to talk about narcissism and stuff, but September right now is looking like a good month. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We gotta inform people. All right. So anyway, yeah, you're saying jiu-jitsu obviously on the ground makes a lot of sense if you can get a guy to the ground, but you're probably right in the sense that a base level of striking is very important.
Like, I'm not going to be like freaking Francis Ngannou, but like I could probably just be like, somewhat decent.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou is a 240-pound man who looks like he has 1% body fat. And whatever you're picturing in your head of his biceps, it's exactly what you think. He is. I mean, look him up. I mean, if you're listening at home, if you don't know who we're talking about, the dude's a monster. It's Francis Ngannou, Ngannou. Ladies, I especially recommend as well if you're still listening. It's a fine looking man.
I mean, he sent freaking Alistair Overeem's chin. He sent Alistair Overeem's chin into space.
Yeah, that was a brutal fight. I guess we can talk about that. Here we go. Getting back on track here. Overeem. He won last week. It was a professional fight in the sense that he basically gave away the first 2 rounds, came back with adjustments in round 3, 4, and then finished it off in 5. Round 5 with those same adjustments. I was worried for the Reem. Sorry, his nickname's the Overeem. There, but I mean, he's 40 years old now and looking for another title shot against Stipe Miocic. I mean, he looked good.
Yeah. I mean, I think you sort of hit it right on the button. I mean, he basically gave up those first 2 rounds, and then he made the necessary adjustments, and he just used his ground game and all that experience he's had to his advantage, and that's what ultimately won them the fight.
Yeah, it's the other thing too I want to say about the sport is that it's super weird in the sense that you talk about CTE and stuff like that, but yet there's a lot of guys, especially when you get into heavyweight and stuff, that are 40 years old and they still look sharp as ever. And 35, if we're talking the NBA, like 35, like you're on your last legs here type thing. Especially for a lot of players in NFL in a lot of positions as well. But like I said, Overeem at 40, he's won 2 in a row now, both TKOs. So I mean, it's crazy that whereas it'd be so obvious for stuff like the NFL where CTE has been a big news thing currently, that it would be a similar arc for the sport and for the peaks and stuff. However, Stipe, the heavyweight champion and the most decorated heavyweight champion of all time, he's 37, 38? Like, they're all, like, especially as you get into higher weight classes, they get old fast. Frankie Edgar is now just won a couple weeks ago in his main event, split decision win over Pedro Munez, and now he's 5th in the bantamweight rankings at 36, 37. Like, it's crazy, I think, too, learning now once you actually get into it, the longevity some of these fighters do have.
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of comes down to, like, how you take care of yourself, like, after your fight, and, like, if you get hit by the injury bug or not. Because there are some fighters whose careers just been wrecked by injuries, and they can't fight because they're always hurt. So,
yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you on that. What else do you have here? Do we even want to discuss the lines? We're nearing our time limit here for today's show.
I mean, honestly,
that's exactly how I feel. I'm with you, man. I am with you on that one. Are you excited for college football?
Not really.
Just feel like it's gonna be a weird year.
Yeah, I mean, I just want this year to be over. I just want to move on.
Ready for 2021. Ready for 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are, that's for sure. That is for sure. All right. Well, Max, thank you for coming on. Love you as always. Glad to hear you're kicking ass up at Bowling Green. Thank you for sharing your wisdom for the first couple weeks of your university experience. And you're my first guy to call with the UFC and maybe not the UFC, but with the Detroit sports at least.
Yeah, it's a crap show, but
All right, real quick. What record would the Lions have to go to where you start believing in them? Like game 8, if they're 5-3, are you like, ooh, 6-2? At what point do we have to have an emergency podcast about the Lions winning the NFC North?
I'd say when they've got a pretty good lead.
It's like a 2-3 game lead or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, we can hope and we can pray for it for this season. I mean, that'd be the weirdest thing, right? I mean, in a weird season with COVID. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, take care, my brother. Love you always.
Yeah, love you too, man. Thanks for having me on.